Okay, hello internet. I'm Kermit the Frog today, and I was hoping that we would be able to take this guy over there. I don't know though. We have some paper patterns on the ground there, and I've taken a picture of them, and I don't think this is long enough, but what you don't want with the paper patterns is like when you are taking the picture, you don't want your camera to be tilted at all. So you want it to be straight on. You don't want it to be like angled like that or like that, because that would lead to, you guys see that? To angled patterns. Well, that one doesn't look that bad really, but it is. It's bad. So it wouldn't be accurate to the pattern. I feel like that one looks a little more dramatic. Anyway, you guys get the idea. You want your camera to be flat to the flats to the pattern, like straight onto it. And you want to make sure that things are like straight and even, not crooked when you're angling it as well. So let me actually share my screen. And we are, well, we're in CLO right now, but I have downloaded the picture that I took. So let me show you that. And for some reason, this computer doesn't like know how to open JPEGs without opening Photoshop. So that's happening. And then I guess while that's happening, I will also launch Illustrator because that's the program we are actually going to work in for this first technique. So there it is in Photoshop. You can see that the lines are all relatively straight on, and you can fix a certain amount of lens distortion in Illustrator when you trace them as well. Okay, so we're waiting for Illustrator to launch. You guys have any questions so far? This makes sense. Have you done this before? No, okay. So like I said, this doesn't only apply to working in CLO, like you can just work and so I'm making a new file. You can just work in Illustrator on patterns. I'm making a new file and I'm just gonna make a letter size document because it actually doesn't matter. We're mostly just working with the vectors. So I can adjust that artboard to be much bigger if I want. And it's taking a while. Let's try quitting Photoshop. All right, there it goes. And maybe we'll, oh, I don't want to quit CLO because we'll come back later, but maybe we'll have to quit that too. We'll see. So we are going to bring that image in here. So I'm just going to drag it into Illustrator. And it comes in really large, which is fine. We probably need it to be pretty large. And we have taken this picture on pattern paper that has the 1-inch grid on it. If we didn't have pattern paper that had the 1-inch grid, there would have to be a ruler in the photo. And I actually have, yeah, in this lecture, I have a ruler in the photo there. So this is a lecture that's already available on my YouTube or whatever. So we can, and that's linked on our canvas. So let's rotate that. We're going to make a little reference rectangle. So I'm going to make this rectangle 1 inch by 1 inch. So if you click once with the rectangle tool, you can type in a number. So 1 inch by 1 inch. And if you type in IN, even if it's using other units, it will convert. And now this is actually like really close to being the right size already, which it's like dead on. I'm like wicked shocked. It's normally never, so this is like a bad example. So let's say it was smaller. So you should always hold shift while you're scaling it. And we're just scaling this, we're not scaling the reference thing. So let's say it came in and it was the smaller scale. We would need to scale this up while holding shift and keep comparing it to the 1 inch rectangle. until it was 1 inch apart. Like, I guess I would be going from X to X on here, ideally. So this is a little bit tedious, but once you get it, you know that it's in the right scale. There we go. So that's X to X. And what is also helpful is like if we had a ruler, we could measure a line on there. Well, actually, we know what these are. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. It's 15-ish inches wide. So if we draw another rectangle that's that wide, while you're dragging it, it will show you the units. But of course, the units are in points. Let's take a breath and let's edit our units. Under Edit Preferences, Units, we can change general units to inches and hit OK. And then for fun, let's also turn on our rulers, which should now be in inches. View, Rulers, Show Rulers. And now when we click and drag with the rectangle tool, or the line tool, there's like a line tool under the rectangle tool, you'll get the exact measurement of that line in inches. So yeah, that's 14.5 inches wide, which I think is pretty accurate to what that is. I said it was 15. So comparing measurements like that, like I would probably measure my shoulder and measure that. I would probably I would try to eliminate any distortion when I go to trace this as well. Does this make sense so far, how I made this picture the size it is in real life? Do you guys understand? Because sometimes, and this is okay, sometimes people don't understand that like this is a real size we're working with in Illustrator, like that, things are printed. That is an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper in there. So that's the real size that exists in real life.
Have to
Okay.
Scale it and to make sure it actually.
It has to, yeah. Well, and I think Illustrator is even more confusing in that way because it's vector, so things normally can be scaled to any size, but we're trying to build something at a particular size for this project. Okay. I don't know. Sometimes people don't understand. I've run into that before. We're trying to get this to be a real scale that it is in real life. That is 1 inch, even though when I zoom in, I can make it 20 inches wide, but that's only 1 inch if you compared it to like the ruler up here. Okay. Sorry. You guys know that. All right, so this is now theoretically the right scale, and we could take this 1 inch and compare it to different sections if we thought like maybe the camera was distorting things or something, but it looks pretty good. So we don't need this rectangle anymore, and we can delete this little baby rectangle. It was just for reference. Now we just don't want to scale anything else. We don't want to scale this image. So it may be good to put it on its own layer and like make a new layer and lock that first layer. And I'm also going to use my artboard tool to make an artboard that is the size of the pattern. I actually am not, yeah, no, that is important. It should only have one artboard for something that you're going to bring into CLO. If you were going to do something like print it onto multiple 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper or something like that, then you may get into multiple artboards. But for bringing it into CLO, it's important there's only one artboard actually. I've made that mistake before. And then so now we can start tracing it with our pen tool or whatever. And for bringing it into CLO or another 3D modeling program like this, I am actually going to only trace the sew line. I don't need the seam allowance, actually.
The seam allowance, like remember that save you time from adding seam allowance after in CLO?
But you don't need seam allowance in CLO. It depends on what your end goal is in CLO. Like, is the goal just to render it? Then you don't need seam allowance. So, and I don't know how this would handle bringing in seam allowance into CLO. I'm not sure it would automatically recognize seam allowance or if it would create a hassle in CLO where you'd then have to swap, like you'd have to swap sew and cut, which isn't as straightforward in CLO as it is in Gerber. Well, thank you to T for letting me use this pattern. Actually, I should acknowledge that because I was unprepared. Um, I just figured I'd steal something, and I did. Okay, so I'm just gonna fudge it in here, and we can fix that in a second. Now, there is something called a digitizer, which is like a more precise way of doing this. It's like a big table where you can trace things into vectors. And MassArt may have one, but when I was walking around the print lab, I didn't see one. So I don't know, but we do have a plotter. So we will learn out how we will learn how to kind of print out our patterns as well.
Really annoying.
I can also show you guys a way to print your patterns on multiple sheets of paper, like multiple sheets of 8.5 by 11 paper, which is a way that I actually really like to do it, but sticking them together is kind of like,
The most evil thing. in the
well,
world.
I actually like it, but I'm like I don't know, I'm a freak. So like I find it like soothing or something.
Water is that you have to go through a bunch of loopholes in order to do it, but once you do it.
It's really good once you do it because it's all cut out automatically and stuff. You don't have to do any cutting, right? Oh, well, that's lame. But
If you get all of your, if you don't have to do that like cut and paste thing with print it on 8.5 by 11. It's really like crispy lines.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I've used it and it's just a pain to learn.
I mean, you don't have to spend like a hot second taking all the pieces together. You just have to.
You just have to cut around it, it
Yeah.
sounds like. So yeah, and it would be nice if it could cut, but it's yeah, so plotters are great. You could get a little plotter for not too much money as well if you were really into digital pattern working. It's something you could invest in yourself after school, but we have one, so we will learn how to use it. But I'll also show you my 8.5 by 11 piece of paperweight because you might not have access to a plotter forever. But also you could, and I have done this as well, just like gotten things printed at Staples, but it's kind of expensive. So, like gotten big sheets of paper printed at Staples. Okay, so I had to adjust for some like, oh no, is this the lapel? Is this actually rotate out?
It's the extension, so it'd be folded in twice.
But it should be completely straight up and down, 90 degrees to its
Yeah.
face. Okay, all right, so that's right. What I've drawn is right. Okay.
Yeah.
Killer. So now we do not need I don't think we need the picture anymore. But actually, if we wanted to do notches, that might be good. So let me get rid of the fill for a second, and I'll just make it be like a really thick line. I'm not 100% sure that it's going to be able to understand notches, but it's worth a try. We could always add them back in CLO after any adjustments. So, but wait, is this the notch? Are there matching notches on here, T?
So yeah. This a notch.
Okay.
And then this one, and then a 1/2 inch to down.
A 1/2 inch down on that side
Yeah.
here. Okay, we'll see what it does. I actually don't know that it's gonna like this. Oh, blue spinning wheel. My oh no.
You can do it. Also, the internet is not very good.
That was, yes, we were finding that to be the case in my morning class. I really hope it recovers part of it. Pray to the Adobe gods.
Pray to the dead PC guy.
He's not dead, Michelle. Okay.
He's not here.
Yeah. Okay, it recovered something.
Yippee.
Oh, it's just very slow. All right, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I clicked too quickly. Yeah, paper cut wasn't connecting on people's laptops earlier today when they were trying to print. On the laptop?
I've never, I just like the laptop thing.
Let me tell you, I have to default to like Johnny or like one of the students to tell me because I don't know how to either. And the instructions are not, it's not like a standard program to install on the laptop. I know how to print from the school computers, but getting paper cut on the laptop seems so useful, but then it's like this insane, you have to like,
It doesn't connect.
yes. So that it was like it was hard to get it installed, and then also it didn't connect very well. So we were struggling. But all right, let's see how this does. I don't know if it's going to acknowledge those notches.
Ooh.
I'm gonna save this as is. Actually, I'm going to delete this bottom layer and then save it. So we will delete that and then go to File, save. And we're just going to save it as an Illustrator file on my computer because we need to be able to access it. Where if you saved it to the Creative Cloud, it can be hard to access. So we are going to save it on the computer and we'll just save it in Documents and we will call it Men's Jackets Vector. And then maybe they have fixed this. To me, it always seemed like you should be able to go to File, Export, Export As, and choose DXF from here, which is a type of vector, and then bring that vector into CLO. I cannot safely recommend that technique. That's what it feels like you should be able to do, but that's actually not right. We're gonna just save it as an Illustrator file, and then CLO has an import Illustrator option. So import, import add, Adobe AI. Yeah, so oh yeah, there it is under import as well. So I have found this to be more successful than trying to save it as a DXF. If you're a nerd and you're like, what about a DXF, Kelsey? Which is the question I'm asking. But it doesn't work. Whenever I've tried that, I get into this like complete doom cycle of like trying to change the units and figuring out the right units, and it doesn't ever work actually. So the Illustrator file does very well. So we'll navigate to that. And load type add. Let's try changing the scale to inch, but if it comes in at the wrong size, we'll switch to millimeter. We changed the units to inch in Illustrator, so I'm hopeful. Just thinking.
Our best friend.
Okay, and there she is, but I think it's the wrong size. Yeah, it's like 1 billion inches big. So we'll bring it in millimeters. There is also auto scale. Just wanted to see like how big is it? How do we see that? We click on. Yeah, we can just click on this bottom line. It's 560 inches big. So we shall start again. Okay. File. Well, I guess also let's make sure that the units, what the units in here are. So user settings, this, yeah, settings, user settings, that's right. And then user interface, and it does say the units are in inches, so that would be very wrong at 580 inches. File, import, add, Adobe AI, and we'll bring it in millimeters. There we go. That looks better. Oh, they're still big. What if, I'm failing at this. And this is the doom spiral we get into. Oh, okay, no, that is 13.5 inches wide, which I think is right. Yeah, okay. So then let's bring in an avatar. So that's a good way to do it, is to click on a measurement and then measure the actual pattern. So in that case, we would want to be measuring the inside line, the sew line, and not the cut line there. So it was 14.5 when we scaled it. So now it's 13.5 minus an inch, half inch on either side. So that does make sense. Avatar, we're going to use a male avatar, mix it up. Who should we use? Luca? That's the only one you have? Oh, okay. Luca's a good choice. And I thought we should just get it fully on him really quick. So we're going to turn on arrangement points, and that will help. And then for this, because it wraps around his side, we're going to choose a side arrangement point, which I don't think we've done before in a demo, but see, and now yeah, we'll make a second one. And then same thing here. Except we want this to be like facing his back. So I think it has to be on this arm actually. Yeah, because you want the double notch to be facing the back. Yeah, and then it's even if you've already placed it, you can right click and choose symmetric pattern with sewing on the pattern piece. And then I just wanted to show off that it will automatically put it on the other side as well. And so same thing with the sleeve. Right click in the 2D world, symmetric pattern with sewing, and then click to place it. Yeah, and then we would be sewing it up, segment sewing, and these are symmetric, so it's going quickly. And then for free sewing, we can actually sew the whole sleeve to the side because they're connected. So we'll start from the back to the front, and you can see where I'm sewing in the 3D mode, so we can make sure we are on the right one in the 2D mode. Okay, so it's that one, and we'll start from the back and go to the front. And before we sew, we can double check that. Did I mess that up? Oh yeah. Oh, right. Okay, because you actually can't do it all at once. Because this is the armpit. And this breaks at the shoulder. So you do have to do it in sections. So I'm going to use edit sewing tool to delete that, and we'll do it in little chunk So segment sewing. And it did bring in my notches as baselines. So they aren't like proper system recognized notches, but they are there. So that's cool. So let's start. Start here instead. So we're going from armpit up to crown, and then on this one, from armpit up to crown. Okay. And then armpit to crown, and then over here, armpit to crown, and armpit to crown. Okay, so now we should be able to hit simulate, and it's all sewed up. Oh, that sleeve got lost. If you hit Control Z once, you can go back to just before you simulate, but every click in CLO counts as an undo. So if you've clicked a lot, it can get messy sometimes with undo, but cool. Yeah, and then if this were really a jacket, it would like the lapel would fall open, right? So we could draw in the fold lines if we wanted. Just to do a little bit of review, we can draw in that line and select it and choose fold strength and fold angle. So we can crank those up. And then if we hit simulate, it'll show us if we chose the right way. Yeah, so it is wanting to fold over. Stiffening helps with this process. You can right click and choose strengthen. And then if you don't want it to be that strengthened all the time, you can then choose unstrengthened, but it'll still be folded. So strengthen helps with folds. They kind of automatically fold over that way. Yeah, all right, so that was how to do it in Illustrator.
Illustrator, did you make the background transparent?
I did. I deleted the image before I saved it in Illustrator. Okay. All right, goodbye, internet.